Luke Gazdic, obviously brought to you by our great partners over at Pro-Am Sports. If you've not yet swung by and seen the Cooks and Boys, what are you even doing here? We're talking St. Albert Trail, 128th Ave, or visit them online at proamsports.ca where they've got information on signings with Ethan Morrow, Vincent Desharnais, and Ryan Smith right now. Like you, they are sports nerds and AM nasties too. It's just a nice visit. It's just that. It's just a nice visit. And hop on the website for more information on those signings. You submit your own items. You can choose from the ones that they've got set up for you. On that front, go see the guys at Pro-Am Sports. All right, let's bring in Luke Gazdic this morning, Sportsnet's rising star. He pops by for a chat this morning. Luke, good morning. How you doing, buddy?
Good, guys. I think we had a bit of technical difficulties, but I think we're all good now.
We're good now. We're good now. That's why we call him YouTube Trev. Managed to send a proper email eventually, and it worked out when it's all said and done. So that's good. Hey, we were talking this morning. We've got, I don't know how many texts and messages and YouTube chats today from people where they were when they found out that the Oilers had won the Connor McDavid lottery. You were a member of the Edmonton Oilers at the time. Were a few of you guys together to see how it worked? Or were we all living your own life? Or what was it like?
You know what? I was probably in the best place possible to hear that we drafted McDavid, and that was I was in a poolside cabana in Las Vegas.
Yes.
Probably 8. I think there was 8 or 10 of us, something like that. Yeah, that's where I found out. I was with a bunch of the guys, so it was obviously pretty exciting. But
it must have cranked up the Vegas trip a little bit at that point, I guess.
Yeah, it did. I'll never forget this too, because we were with Derek Roy, and Derek had a great back half of the season, and I think was expecting to maybe come back in like a first or second line center role, and then we got McDavid, and that all but kind of spelled out Royce's ending to the team. So
he was like,
the one guy that
DR was probably one of the only ones that was like, happy for you guys, but I'm out of here.
Well, it's worked out well. Obviously a game changer for the franchise. McDavid has made a huge impact on the league. Still looking to get his hands on the big prize, and they've got a contender that they've built here again this year. Let's start with the Oilers, then we'll get to the Buffalo Sabres on the other side of this thing, and maybe a little bit around the league last night as well. In the last game, they bumped Kane up to the top line, slipped Nuge down to play with Adam Henrique. Luke, what do you think the coaching staff's looking for there? Why are they just trying to see what they have for third line options? Or they trying to get Kane going on the top line? What do you think's the motive behind that?
Good question. And I think you're right in the right direction. I think they're trying to get Kaner going first and foremost. He's got to be a force, and he's got to be scoring if they want to have any success down the line here. But it's starting to look pretty clear that he wants that third checking line to be able to play against other teams' top lines. They played them against Slav, and I know it's Slav and Suzuki. It's not like an absolute juggernaut on Tuesday night, but I think they're going to use that checking line like in a serious checking role, playing them against top units and top guys. So I think that's why he wanted Nuge down there, a little bit of more defensive help, but simultaneously, I think he's got to get Evander going and wants him to find the score sheet, and what a better guy to play with than 97.
Yeah, I would check off a couple of boxes then if you're looking to get those two things done. The third line is interesting, is if they're continuing to try to sort of find a legitimate third line checking line, because we did see Kane and Henrique and Connor Brown together. Brown ended up scoring. And then last game, Derek Ryan was on that line. Yesterday at practice, it looked like Corey Perry might be with Nuge and Henrique. Who do you think is best suited to be the third guy if they run Nuge and Henrique together for a while? Like, what type of player? Because Perry's different from Brown. Brown's different from Ryan. Like, who do you think's the best fit on that line?
It's a good question, man, because I've loved Corey since he's come over, and I just don't think he can be a fourth line guy. I think he needs elevated minutes in that position. You know me, I'm a Brownie guy. I think Brownie would be great in that slot. Skates well, checks well. Obviously got off the schneid the other day, which was nice, and hopefully we'll see a couple more of those. But I think all in all, on the grand scheme, like that's what they're looking for here, is especially that right side and how they're going to deploy guys down the line. It's a good opportunity here, coming up against some non-playoff opponents, and guys are going to have a good opportunity to kind of grab that. But for my money, I wish that second line with Fogs and McLeod has done way better than I thought it was going to do, because that's where I love to see Perry. But it'll be a good opportunity for guys to kind of slide in there.
Hey, Luke, Troy Stetcher just going to the blue line here. You tweeted out March 13th. Stetcher wearing that number 51 Oilers jersey in royal blue, giving me flashbacks of my guy Anton Lander, to which we had some time for Anton
Lander was a
Lander.
classic 51, yeah.
But Stetcher, we were talking about him prior to the game against the Habs, the day of. Expectations, what do you think is going to happen? And then the day after, we didn't really speak of him at all, which I consider a real good thing. Your thoughts on his position in the lineup? What do you expect moving forward in terms of how Chris Knoblauch and the coaching staff kind of handle the blue line with him in? Is it kind of Stetcher stapling himself into that second pair, or is it more opponent-based, and maybe you're fitting in other guys in that spot and putting him down? But where do you see Stetcher fitting in on the blue line, and what did you make of him the other night against the Habs?
Well, first and foremost, I think this is a good time for him. And this is exactly the kind of role I want to see him in, is that if one of these guys goes down, he's got to be able to step in seamlessly and effortlessly into the decor and give some good minutes. He skates well, skates way better than I thought he did. I know the first game he took a couple minors, and that's about one of the only no-nos that I think Chris is going to have with him, is to stay out of the penalty box. But as long as he uses his speed and his skating, that's what I want to see. Him up ice, creating a little offense, but good on his own end. I think that's a good point too, is like some games, if you don't necessarily notice guys, that's not really a bad thing all the time. As long as they're not making egregious mistakes as the game goes by. I got a lot of time for that. So use his legs and be a guy that they can deploy in and out of the lineup to give them some good minutes. Because honestly, guys, that's not an easy thing to do, is to go
like popping in and out and stuff. Yeah.
Popping in and out is not an easy thing to do.
Well, even the debut with when Ekholm was sick there, and it was
a short notice and left side. It was, it's not ideal either.
Exactly. Like I mean, I don't want to put myself on a pedestal, but I did that my whole career, and I have a lot of time for guys that can slide in and give some good minutes.
What was it like? What could it have been easier if you just kind of found out 2 hours before the game, like on short notice you're going in? You don't have time to like stress or think about it at all, or was it always nicer to know in the morning or the day before?
That's a great question, because I feel like sometimes when you get the very late call, your adrenaline just takes over and you just go and play. But for me, I like the most notice possible. Like, especially, you know what, I used to take warm-ups a lot. So they'd say, hey, you know, so-and-so's not feeling well tonight. You're going to take warm-ups, and he might be going. And I'd be all over the guy. I'd just be like, are you playing or not? Just tell me, like, what's going on? Like, how's your wrist? Just let me know. Like, it's almost game time. I mean, I would like the most notice possible, but everyone's different. Sometimes the adrenaline for an NHL game could just take over, and sometimes you'll play your best hockey.
Buffalo Sabres are interesting. They were kind of one of the teams that you thought might be able to take that step up to the playoffs this year. You don't mind their roster. I mean, they've got a lot of young talent on there that's continuing to develop. Is that just what it is, though, Luke? Like, just they're not like it's coming, but it's not there yet? Or do you think they still need to add significant pieces?
Yeah, interesting is a good adjective for them there, Dusty. They're, I mean, really young, right? After the trade deadline, they are the youngest average age team in the league. So they got even younger. I really like their decor with Power and Dahlin and Byram now. And I think they probably mismanaged Levi a bit at the start of the season, bringing him straight into the NHL. I always think that goalies need American League help before they make the jump, but they're kind of just that in-between team. Like I after their back end, I don't see like a ton that excites me about the future of the Buffalo Sabres, which is sad because I really want Buffalo to be competitive. And I think they were expecting to make some steps this year, but I don't know. Up front, I don't see, man, it sounds so bleak, but I don't see tons of reasons for Sabres fans to be excited about what's coming other than a really good young decor and a couple good young goaltenders.
What about the Capitals? I mean, they're trying to hang on here. They're fighting for a playoff spot right now. Last night, they'd won 3 in a row, kind of got one hung on them by the Toronto Maple Leafs. When you look at the bottom of that playoff race in the East right now, do you think Ovi and the Caps can come away with one of those spots?
Okay, so my Caps thing, I got to see them obviously versus the Oil. Then I covered them on Monday when they played Calgary on Sportsnet. And then I watched them last night versus Toronto. And I'm thinking in the first period as they're ripping around, I'm like, man, are we not giving this Washington team enough credit? Like, are they better than maybe people are expecting them. And then like Toronto goes and puts up like 6. And I'm like, no, why was I thinking that? I just think they have a long way to go still. They're in this really weird in between where obviously Ovi's trying to get the record, and I think they're very well coached. I like Spencer Carberry and the way he's running those guys, but I just think this is all for naught, and it's kind of a negative way to look at it. But I think all these teams in the East are really battling to get in those last wild card spots and are just absolutely going to get pumped in the first round by whoever they're going to meet. Like if Florida meets Washington in round 1, I mean, it's over for them. So I like what they're doing, and I love watching Ovi try to chase this record, but Wash has just got this weird dynamic of like couple good young prospects and then really, older veterans, and they're trying to mesh these two together.
I don't think, Luke, you were a believer so much so in any of those East wildcard teams, but I think you mentioned earlier in the season the Red Wings as well before kind of things took shape and crystallized here. But do you think it's the Caps, Red Wings? Who gets that second spot? Islanders, maybe?
Yeah, man, we had this debate on Monday about which team we thought is going to get in, and I'll probably give it to the Wings. But same thing, the Wings are just so outmatched if you look from them to like the top of the division. I just think they still have so long to go too. They got to find some goaltending, but they have no trouble scoring goals, and they're definitely a fun team to watch, but still have a long way to go, I think, to being in the realm of those top teams in the Eastern Conference.
Before we let you go, guys, somebody in the nasty chat was saying, hey, you got to say congratulations to Luke for making the Hockey Night in Canada debut on the weekend. The very first crack at it. I mean, you've been doing some great work, obviously, with Sportsnet, but how much different was that on that panel?
Well, yeah, so I'll be doing, Leafs Oilers this Saturday with Ron McLean and BX. So it'll be my first crack at it. I'm excited, man. I grew up in Toronto, obviously cheering for the Leafs, and got a chance to play for Edmonton. So it couldn't be a better matchup to walk into. So excited to experience my first.
That'll
Saturday
be cool.
night.
We'll be watching. That'll be we got a watch party coming up for that one, and yeah, it'll be good. Well, best of luck, buddy.
We'll chant your name in the bar when you come on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we'll get a Gazdic chant.
I'm sure with the way people come up with chants here, it'll be Luke. That's it. That's the only chat we could come up with. Anyway, have fun with that, man, and we'll check in next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Go
Oil.
That's Luke Gazdic. Hockey Night in Canada, Saturday night. Oilers, Maple Leafs. Gazdic will be on there with
baby.
Oh, I like that. I like that
5
guy.
o'clock,
Luke Gazdic. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.